All right, solving two-step inequalities. Let's get on to it. 22x plus 14 is greater than 80. So if you want to pause the video and do this independently, go for it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we've got 22x plus 14 is greater than 80. So I'm going to treat this like an equation, and I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. Okay, so that cancels out, leaving me with 22x. Subtraction on both sides has no impact on the inequality symbol, so it's still greater than. 80 minus 14, well, if 80 minus 10 is 70, then subtract 4, you get 66. So now we've got 22x is greater than 66, okay? And now we need to isolate x by dividing both sides of the inequality by 22. Now, remember, we're solving for x, but we divided both sides by positive 22. Does that have any impact on the inequality symbol? No. Dividing both sides by a positive value has no impact on the inequality symbol, so x is still greater than. Specifically, 66 divided by 22 is positive 3. So legally, x is allowed to be any real number as long as it is greater than 3. So I make a number line. I put 0 in the middle. 3 is just to the right of the middle 0. So I'm going to circle that endpoint. And where am I going to shade? To the left or to the right? Legally, all numbers bigger than 3, shaded to the right, are part of the solution set. But, last question, is 3 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? No, you don't get an invite to the birthday party. 3, you're just an endpoint, but it's an open endpoint. So x equals 3 would not satisfy this requirement. 3.1 would, 3.01 would, but not 3 itself. Okay, moving on to problem number 2. If you want to do this independently, go for it. If not, you've got 3 seconds to pause the screen. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to solve for x, and then, I'm going to solve for x by pretending it's an equation, but I'm going to apply the rules of the 6 things I can do on both sides to an inequality. But I'm going to acknowledge that if I add 12 on both sides, addition has no impact on that inequality symbol. So that leaves me with 9x is less than or equal to 33 plus 12, which is 45. Now, I've got 9x is less than or equal to 45. And I'm going to divide both sides of the inequality by 9. If I divide both sides by 9, does that have any impact on the inequality symbol? No. Dividing both sides by positive 9? No effect at all. So x is still less than or equal to 45 divided by 9. That's going to be positive 5. So I'm going to box that part. Okay. And now we draw a number line. I'm going to put 0 in the middle. Where is 5? To the left or to the right? Let's just put it to the right. I'm going to circle that endpoint. Okay, now where am I shading? If x is legally allowed to be any real number less than or equal to 5, where am I shading? To the left. Sorry about that. There you go. So all real numbers to the left of 5, and at the end of the number line, I'm going to put a big fat arrow because I'm going to negative infinity and beyond. And is 5 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? Yes, less than or equal to means that the endpoint itself is included. So x is legally allowed to be 5 and any number less than 5. Okay. Number 3, this one's a little bit tricky. 2 minus 3x is less than or equal to 23. What do you suppose I should do? Well, what I can do is rearrange the problem to my liking. I'm used to x being on the left part of the equation. or in this case, the inequality. So I'm going to keep this. This is a positive 2, right? This is a positive 2. I'm going to write it. I didn't write it in the previous video. So I'm going to switch these two numbers, keep the negative sign in front of the negative 3x, and put a positive sign in front of the 2, because if there's no symbol in front, it's automatically positive 2. So now I can rearrange this, ease my anxiety, make this negative 3x plus 2 is less than or equal to 23. Okay. Now, can we solve for x? Oh yeah, we can solve for x. So now we've got negative 3x plus 2 is less than or equal to 23. And I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Subtracting 2 from both sides has no impact on the inequality symbol. So now I've got negative 3x is less than or equal to, that is 21. And now what do I need to do to solve for x? I'm going to divide both sides of the inequality by negative 3. Leaving me with x. What did I do on both sides? Oh, I divided both sides by negative 3. So what does that mean? That means that the inequality symbol needs to flip, because if I divide by the negative, then the sign flips. Okay, so now I've got 21 divided by negative 3, or negative 7. So x is greater than or equal to negative 7. Now we're going to graph this on the number line. So now I'm going to put 0 in the middle. Negative 7 is to the left, so I'm going to put that right over here. I'm going to circle my negative 7 endpoint. And what numbers are greater than or equal to negative 7? To the right. So I'm going to shade to the right. Okay. Is negative 7 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? Yes, it's included. So we fill it in. So negative 7, the endpoint is included, and any number bigger than negative 7, and we're good. All right, moving on to number 4. Let's see what we can do for number 4. Well, negative 18 minus 2x is greater than negative 4. I'm mostly comfortable with the x being on the left part. So remember, we can switch these numbers as long as we keep the symbol. So this is a negative 18, and this is a negative 2x. Well, this is pretty straightforward. We can switch the numbers and keep them both negative because, well, they're both negative. So negative 2x minus 18 is greater than negative 4, and that's going to ease my anxiety. So now I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to add 18 on both sides. Cancel, cancel. Then I've got negative 4 plus 18. That's going to be 14. Adding on both sides has no impact on the inequality symbol. So now I've got negative 2x is greater than 14. Now to solve for x, we're going to need to divide both sides of the inequality by negative 2. That cancels out, that cancels out. But remember, take a deep breath. What did I do on both sides of the inequality? Well, I divided by a negative, so this inequality symbol needs to flip to a less than sign. Divide by negative 2. Sign needs to flip. So now, x is less than 14 divided by negative 2 would be negative 7. So we're good. So now we put 0 in the middle. Negative 7 is on the left. I'm going to circle our endpoint. And where am I going to shade? To the left or to the right? To the left. X is less than negative 7, so it's all values shaded to the left. We reach the end of our number line, so we put a big fat arrow to say that we're going to negative infinity and beyond. But is negative 7 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? X is less than negative 7, not less than or equal to, so we leave that endpoint open. Okay? All right, that was problem number 4. 4 more to go, and we'll call it a day. All right, 4x minus 1 is greater than negative 43. So what can we do in this problem? Well, I'm going to undo the layers of x. I'm going to add 31 on both sides. Negative 31 plus 31 cancels out. Addition on both sides has no impact on the inequality symbol. So now I'm back to 4x still greater than negative 43 plus 31. That would be negative 12. And now I'm going to solve for x. 4x is greater than negative 12. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Cancels out, cancels out. Now remember, what did I apply on both sides? Did I divide both sides by a positive or divide both sides by a negative? I divided both sides by positive 4. I don't care about this negative 12 on the outside. I divided both sides by positive 4, so the inequality symbol is still true. X is greater than, what's negative 12 divided by 4? That'd be negative 3. So then, I make my number line. I'm going to put 0 in the middle. Negative 3 is on the left. And where do I shade if legally x is allowed to be any real number greater than negative 3? I'm going to circle my endpoint and shade to the right. I put a big fat arrow because I'm going to infinity and beyond. Hopefully Disney doesn't flag my video for copyright infringement. X is greater than negative 3. Is negative 3 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? No, the endpoint is not included, so we're going to leave this open circle. Okay. 9x plus 60 is less than or equal to 24. All right, let's solve for x. I'm going to subtract 60 from both sides. Subtracting 60 on both sides has no impact on that inequality symbol. So now 9x is still less than or equal to 24 minus 60, so 30 minus 60 would be negative 30, so negative 36. All right, 9x is less than or equal to negative 36, so now we're going to solve for x. I'm going to divide both sides by positive 9. So then x, if we divide both sides by positive 9, does that have any impact on the inequality symbol? No. So that becomes less than or equal to, and then negative 36 divided by 9 is negative 4. So we box that. That's our solution set. And now we want to graph this on a number line. So I'm going to put 0 in the middle. I'm going to put negative 4 on the left side. I'm going to circle my negative 4. Where do we shade if x is legally allowed to be any real number less than or equal to negative 4? I'm going to shade to the left. And we put a big arrow to go to negative infinity and beyond. Finally, is the endpoint itself included? Yes, negative 4 is included. Okay. So now, 2 more problems. But what do you notice about these problems? For number 7, 9 is less than 6x minus 21. Well, you notice that x is on the right side. Remember the one-step equations exam where I put x on the right side. Now we're going to do this with two-step equations. But you know what's going to ease my anxiety? If I just make sense of it. Remember that the arrow is pointing this way. So I'm going to move this to the left. Remember, 6x minus 21. And the arrow is pointing this way, towards the x. So I'm going to make this a greater than symbol. Okay, that's just an algebraic manipulation. If 9 is less than, if the left side is less than the right side, then the right side is greater than the left side. Use the language to your advantage. So now we've got 6x minus 21 is greater than 9. Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake now. 6x minus 21 is greater than 9. I'm going to add 21 on both sides. So now, adding 21 on both sides has no impact on this inequality symbol. You know what? That doesn't bother me. It says now 6x is greater than 30. Now, 6x greater than 30, I'm going to divide both sides of the inequality by positive 6. That leaves me with x is greater than, because we divided both sides by a positive, no impact at all. 30 divided by 6 is positive 5. Okay, now to graph this on a number line, I'm going to put 0 in the middle. I'm going to put 5 to the right. All legal values of x are greater than 5, so that shades to the right. And at the end of a number line, I put a big arrow to shade I'm going to positive infinity and beyond. Is 5 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? No, so we leave the endpoint open. All right, last problem of the day. 35 is greater than or equal to 8x plus 19. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I like my x on the left side, so I'm going to take a look at this part. I like my x on the left, so I put 8x plus 19. If the left side is greater than or equal to the right side, then the right side must be less than or equal to the left side. So 8x plus 19 can be less than or equal to 35, because that eases my anxiety a little bit. Okay, so now we've got 8x plus 19 is less than or equal to 35. And I'm going to solve for x by subtracting 19 on both sides. Now I've got 8x, which is less than or equal to 35 minus 19. Well, if 35 minus 20 is 15, then add 1. That'd be 16. 35 minus 19 would be 16. Now we've got 8x is less than or equal to 16. And I'm going to divide both sides of the inequality by 8. And now x is, we divided both sides by a positive, so that's less than or equal to 16 divided by 8, which is positive 2. Now, x is less than or equal to 2. I'm going to get my number line for the final time. I'm going to put 0 in the middle. I'm going to put 2 on the right. I'm going to circle my endpoint, and where am I going to shade? X is legally allowed to be any real number less than or equal to 2. So that's going to be to the left of the endpoint. And is 2 itself invited to the solution set birthday party? Less than or equal to means yes. So any real number, 2 and under, is legal for x. Okay, that concludes Algebra 1A. Have a good one.